Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Loud, unfiltered, and live nationwide. It's the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
This is the year, even in a first-year system with Mike McCarthy, that Dallas has to win the NFC East. They have to. If Dallas doesn't win the NFC East this year, something is majorly wrong.
Want to chime in? Join the live chat on either Facebook or Twitter at Cream City Central. Your comment could be featured on today's show. From the WWSB 90 FM studios in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, here's Alex Strouf.
What's good? Happy Thursday. It's producer Kyle. I'm Alex Strouf. This is the Alex Strouf Show. Hope you're doing well. We moved up a little bit, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Central. Today is the Bucks tip-off against Miami at 3 o'clock. Hello, Kathleen. No fighting today, we hope, for Kathleen. I know she was
no promises.
No promises.
If the Bucks decide to not play their starters in the second half, there might be some more fighting on Tuesday.
Fair enough. So we are back. Big show today. Couple of interesting conversations to be had that I'm really looking forward to today. John McNamara, who is essentially the lead writer for the Badgers on the Yahoo Sports Network and Rivals Network, will join us at 1:30 to talk about the Big Ten schedule, what football will look like in the Big Ten, and the first coaches poll came out today. So lots to talk about on the Badgers front. So John McNamara from Badger Blitz will join us. And then in the 2 o'clock hour, Olivia Rainier, who covers the Packers, Brewers, and Bucks for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, will join us to talk all things Wisconsin sports. So lots of good stuff to be done. Hello, Travis. Thanks for stopping in. This might actually be a good time to plug Travis, who is a co-host of the Fantasy Whisperers, doing their 24-hour draft-a-thon this Saturday and Sunday. I will be co-hosting from 2 to 6 a.m.
Oh, man.
Central. So I'll be drinking beer and doing mock drafts.
So is that going to be Saturday morning, 2 to 6,
that'll be
or Sunday morning?
Sunday morning.
I might be able to stay up for that. I don't work
All
Sunday,
right.
so I might be able to stay up for it.
Yeah, you might be able to party with us. So the Fantasy Whisperers, quick plug for them. Really looking forward. I did it last year with them as well. Always a really good time. They pump out great content.
If I listen, am I guaranteed to win my fantasy league this year?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
You know what? They're not making the guarantee. I will. Yes. If you listen, you're gonna win your fantasy league. It's a promise. It's a promise.
Well, I got 2 of them this year, so
okay.
I got $50 in it this year, so.
Okay, that's low for me, but fair enough. Okay, man. Well, let's talk some baseball because I've been loving doing that recently. And this is just kind of the no-brainer that we referred to about a week ago, and that was the increased protocols for Major League Baseball. You know, it's funny. It's to me, it's just Robbie Manfred flexing his guns, and he's like, he says, you know, he's flexing his gun, saying, "I'm in charge, baby. I make the rules around here," is what Robbie Manfred is saying. And you know, and some of those rules, you know, just you've got players and staff must wear face coverings at all times in the dugout, the clubhouse, with exception of players on the field. That includes all the coaches on the field and every member of the umpiring crew. And you must also wear face coverings at all times in the hotel and at public places on the road. So just small little tweaks like that have been made with Robbie Manfred flexing his guns. And he's trying to prove that he's in charge. He makes the rules. Too little, too late, Robbie, but that's beside the point. So Brewers pitcher Eric Lauer had this to say. Tom Hodgecourt reported this. Lauer said, quote, "We're not under lock and key, but we do have babysitters now. If you want to get food or do something outside the hotel, you run it by PCO, protocol compliance officers, to make sure it's safe. We're not under lock and key, but we do have babysitters now." And maybe you need babysitters if you can't keep the league healthy. Maybe Robbie actually implemented something good for once. Because look, we talked about it a lot on Tuesday. We've talked about it several weeks. We know baseball's probably going to get shut down at some point, right? I mean, it just seems like that's the direction this is trending. It's really hard to play a sport when you're not in a bubble and you're traveling and you're just living in a hotel. It's really hard to sustain that health, the negative tests. It's not easy for Major League Baseball. It hasn't been easy for Major League Baseball. You look at St. Louis, you look at Miami, you look at Philly. All these teams are coming back with positive tests. That's 3 out of 30 baseball teams. That's 10% of the league in the first week and a half is already struggling with COVID cases. So do you expect that we're going to get through, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 more months? Because I don't, personally. But Robbie's flexing his guns and making some changes, which are good. We mentioned last week, I think it was, one change that I said doy to, it should have been done like this right away, was that you can't leave the hotel. Once you're in the hotel, you can't leave. It should have been that way from the get-go. And now that it is that way, we'll take it. But more protocols for the MLB, and Eric Lauer doesn't sound pleased. He has a babysitter now. They have to ask their babysitter, the PCO, the protocol compliance officers are babysitters now. Love that. All right, let's talk some Badgers before we get to John McNamara. So the Big Ten West, as always, has been the case recently, should be a piece of cake. That's how producer Kyle puts it in our notes today. Should be a piece of cake, and it likely will be. But before we jump into the schedule full force, I gotta say, man, there's one thing on this schedule I'm really not a fan of for the Badgers. Assuming this season happens, there won't be fans. We can already face that fact. There won't be fans. But the one thing about this Wisconsin schedule that really has me down in the dumps is that they play Minnesota in September. September 26th, you see there, is when they play the Golden Gophers. And I'm not a fan of that because typically it's at the end of the season. It's for the Axe. It's a big-time game. But look, September 26th against the Golden Gophers, which, by the way, should be a really solid game. The first coaches poll came out today. Minnesota ranked 18th. Wisconsin ranked 12th. Other Big Ten teams, Ohio State was ranked 2nd, only to Clemson. Penn State ranked 7th. Michigan at 15, Minnesota, as mentioned, at 18, and Iowa at 23. So 6 Big Ten teams in the top 25 of the first coaches poll. But back to the schedule. So Indiana is the opener. Then they go to the 8-day break, go to Northwestern. That game was supposed to be played at Wrigley. Obviously won't be anymore. They play then at Nebraska and then return home on the 26th of September to host Minnesota. The Badgers do. Then on the road to Maryland, then home against Purdue and Illinois with a bye in between those two games, but back-to-back home games for Wisconsin there in the month of October. Halloween against Michigan, and then the last 2 games on the 14th of November at Iowa, and then the 21st of November. So later season this year, the finale is at home against Rutgers. But it'll be interesting to see what direction that the Big Ten goes, right? I mean, do we know, or not even the Big Ten, but the NCAA as a whole, what's the college football playoff going to look like? What are conference championships going to look like? What there's a lot of still gray area that is out there because these questions are unanswered. These questions aren't easy to answer because it seems like the finish line is moved or different every single day in this current pandemic world that we live in. There is never a clear finish line, it seems. So take it for what it's worth. We'll see what happens if there is a college football season. I can't say that I'm the most optimistic person in the world. However, we'll see. And of course, obviously, the college football playoff, one of the most entertaining and best sporting events of the year. All right, we got to take a break. On the other side, John McNamara of Badger Blitz will join me, break down pretty much everything Badger football on the other side. This is the Alex Strouf Show.
David Bakhtiari, should the Packers just pay the guy whatever they want or whatever he wants? Should they try to negotiate? Will he get a little bit of a hometown discount? How do you foresee that playing? Because this could go many ways with Bakhtiari.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the fact that he is a top, if not top 3 in the league. I really think that bringing David Bakhtiari back is a priority this offseason. We do some big names along with the Kenny Clark that we have to also make fit in that. The biggest worry that I have is if we sign him for a big amount of money, we won't be able to bring back people like Aaron Jones or Kevin King, which I don't think either one of them may come back. But I really do feel that bringing David Bakhtiari back should be a priority for any team. If you have a left tackle that good, it's going to be a priority. I personally just feel that bringing him back would not only elevate our line with the young people we brought in this draft, but it would also elevate that leadership in the room that we need. So it keeps it at a level we need it at.
Yeah, Bakhtiari is a solid leader on that offensive line. A guy who's protected Aaron Rodgers since 2014, I believe. No, 2012. I can't remember. But Bakhtiari has definitely acted as a professional when coming to talk about his contract. That was a short clip from the Lambeau Lead, Cream City Central's only Packers podcast. Make sure to check it out today.
Welcome you back inside the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central. And we're talking Badgers because there's a lot going on in the world of college football. A lot of question marks that we're going to try to answer as we go to the phone line now. The editor and recruiting analyst for Badger Blitz of the Rivals and Yahoo Sports Network, John McNamara, is with me now. John, how are you during these weird times? Are you safe and healthy, I hope?
Yeah, I am. Thanks for asking. I'm can't complain on my end. Definitely challenging times for everyone in a lot of different fields right now. But yeah, I mean, we're doing well. We've been surviving with a lot of recruiting coverage, so I can't complain about that. But yeah, I'm doing real well. I hope you are too.
I am. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's been different, I think is the best way to put it. But we're surviving, trying to get through it, and get to the day we get some college sports back on the field. But let's start with the coaches poll. Badgers come in 12th. Behind only Penn State and Ohio State in the conference. What's the takeaway from the first coaches poll that dropped today?
Yeah, it's tough to say because you didn't get a chance to see any spring camp because it didn't happen for Wisconsin. A few schools were able to go out and have a couple practices in early March. Wisconsin was not able to do that, so they didn't have a spring camp. So really your last sample size is going off what happened in the Rose Bowl against Oregon. 12, again, it's tough to say with so many question marks going on right now. It seems a little high to me in terms of, the holes that Wisconsin needs to fill on offense, but the defense, I think as a whole should be pretty strong. So I don't know how much you can take away from the coaches poll today other than, it seems like the Big Ten's probably going to be pretty strong, specifically at the top end.
Absolutely. It seems like it is almost every year, right? Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin, all in the top 15 of that first coaches poll. So we'll see, man. I got to ask, though, because obviously this is the big question. What are the conversations you're having about the season? It looks like they're going to try to have one. We assume there won't be fans, but what other conversations have you had the last month or so that leads us to some sort of answer, as there's a lot of question marks surrounding this, John.
Right, and I think you're exactly right with the question marks. You talk to people, and I think people are just guessing, or people are going off what they heard most recently. And I mean, really, I think what it boils down to is this is just going to be a day-by-day thing. And like you talked about, the schedule is released, and it's great to look at 10 Big Ten games and try to plan out how that season could shake out. But really, I really think that you have to go one day at a time. Right now, schools can begin fall camp or a training camp tomorrow. Wisconsin really hasn't given word on when they plan to start. I don't anticipate that to be tomorrow. It sounds like it could kick off on Monday for Wisconsin. The last time we were able to speak with Paul Chris was a few months ago, so there hasn't been a whole lot of communication as to what's going on at Wisconsin right now. So again, I mean, there's just so many more question marks than there are concrete answers. But I think it's positive that there is a schedule out there. There is an intention to play, but there seems to be just such a long road before the season actually does get started. And, that's just a couple weeks away, at least on paper.
Right. John McNamara, my guest of Badger Blitz, of the Rivals and Yahoo Sports Network. And when you see D2 and D3, Division II and Division III schools canceling, championship series and games, is that disheartening, or is this just kind of a different league, I guess, right? A different ballpark for D1. How do you view that? Because it could go either way.
Right. And I think a big piece to that is, the hopes that some TV revenue can, help these athletic departments a little bit. And I think that's kind of a driving force to, hopefully get some sort of product on the field, to put it on television, to run some ads, to get some sort of, money coming back into the schools. Obviously Division III and Division II, that's a whole different ball game in terms of, how many scholarships there are available and what kind of money is available. With Division I, you have a lot more resources, but again, when you look at the protocol that's potentially in place, it just seems like a big hill to climb if this college football season is going to go off on time and without any hitches. So again, it's just kind of a day-by-day thing. Division I, there's so many more resources that you have. You ask the question, are these guys safer actually being on campus with, the training tables that they have and the medical resources that they have? But, you're really going to have to see what happens, I think, when students come back into play and when they come back on campus and how that changes things. So again, a Division I Big Ten school, they have all the resources, but will the virus eventually just take over with so many kids anticipated to return to campus in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I hate to sound like a pessimist, but it just seems unlikely to me, especially as you mentioned, when students arrive back, you got to imagine, right? There's still going to be frat parties. There's still going to be people going out to the bars on State Street. It's just, it's concerning. And I'm sorry if I sound like a pessimist, because as bad as you do, John, I want college football in our lives this fall, but it's just, it seems like a far gamble to me yet.
And I'm in probably the exact same boat. Again, I think there's a chunk of media out there, national media, that, it seems like they're almost rooting against the season. I'm absolutely not. My job is tied into it. I obviously enjoy the college football season. I want to see it happen. I guess I'm more pessimistic too, in the fact of, you've seen what happens in baseball. These teams for college football are going to have to travel. The rosters are quadruple the size of baseball teams. If you're moving 85 guys and a coaching staff and, everyone else that makes that happen, it just seems unrealistic to me. But again, I'm optimistic. I hope it happens. And again, that's why I'm kind of on this day by day thing where, I'll take one day and then we'll move to the next. It's really tough to look all the way at the end of the schedule and say, hey, look, it's great that they finished with Rutgers, because there just seems to be so much more ahead of them. And that even goes before they even kick off their first game against Indiana.
Right. So let's be optimistic. Let's be happy. Let's actually talk about this schedule like it will happen the way it's scheduled. Opening against Indiana, as you mentioned. But I want to the first of those four games, or excuse me, the last of those first four games is the one I want to bring up. Minnesota in September feels weird to me.
It does. Right. Yeah. That's traditionally a game that, Wisconsin and Minnesota end on in the Big Ten Conference. And, Wisconsin was riding, so many consecutive wins. And then, Minnesota comes to Camp Randall and takes the axe back. Wisconsin does the exact same thing this past year. PJ Fleck and Paul Chryst, they're like ultimate foil characters, complete opposites. And that's a fun rivalry now. And I think it's great that, Minnesota is, back to bringing that to a competitive rivalry again. So, that's, like you said, traditionally a game that you finish on. But in a season like this, I think you'll take it at any point. It's great. There's a lot of juice back in that rivalry. I think PJ Fleck, love him or hate him, has really kind of brought Minnesota back into the picture where they're actually relevant again in the Big Ten, and they're relevant in the rivalry with Wisconsin.
Yeah, and that's a jam-packed first month. Indiana on the 4th, at Northwestern on the 12th, at Nebraska on the 19th, and return home to host Minnesota on the 26th. So definitely a good ramp-up period there, right, with Indiana, Northwestern, and Nebraska before having that hard-hitting game, what we imagine will be against Minnesota. So what does that first month spell out to you, John? What do you think what will you make of that first month in September, those first 4 games?
Yeah, kind of the same. Obviously, that you don't have the non-conference component there, but that game against Indiana remains the same.
Yeah.
I think they flip-flopped where Nebraska was coming to Camp Randall. Now they're going to Nebraska. I still don't think Nebraska is a school that really sparks a lot of fear in many of their opponents. Even though they were kind of the darling of Big Ten Media Days last year, where they were supposed to be the school to take that next step and potentially win the Big Ten West. Obviously that doesn't happen. Northwestern's always a tricky game, especially when you travel to Evanston. Wisconsin has absolutely had their struggles there. So, it's an interesting first month because, obviously you've never started off a year where you're just diving right into the Big Ten. So, again, without a spring camp and potentially a limited fall camp to jump right into the Big Ten schedule, it's going to be interesting for all 14 teams in the conference, not just Wisconsin.
Absolutely. And we talk about no Ohio State on the schedule, assuming that they will see them in the Big Ten championship game, likely because this isn't a terribly tough schedule, at least given past years. Obviously, you have Michigan and Iowa and Minnesota, but spread out enough. It shouldn't be too challenging for Wisconsin outside of the obvious coronavirus things. And obviously, Michigan and Iowa is on the road, but could be worse.
Right, and you avoid Ohio State, you avoid Penn State, and you add Rutgers, which hasn't won a Big Ten conference games in 21 opportunities. So, in terms of if you take out everything else out of the equation, where you anticipate to play all 10 of these games, the schedule certainly shaked out well for Wisconsin. And then even if you look, towards the end where they play at Michigan and at Iowa, there's a bye week between that.
Exactly.
So that's a huge benefit as well. So. I saw somewhere where Wisconsin has, the least strong or the weakest strength of schedule in the Big Ten. And again, obviously that looks great on paper in terms of, hey, could they potentially run the table here? But again, it's just going to kind of be a day-by-day, week-by-week thing where I guess I'd be shocked if they were going in and playing Rutgers in the last game of the season where there hasn't been any huge significant hiccups along the way.
Right.
And I hope that's how it shakes out. But again, it just seems like so far away and there's so many hurdles left to climb before you get there.
Absolutely. John, I want to talk offense. I know you mentioned obviously a little bit different looking than last year, but the starting line, all juniors. And then what's going to happen at running back? Obviously, Watson is still there. Groshek's still there. What should we expect from the Badgers offense come fall?
Yeah, that's the kind of the $1 million question is,
right.
What happens in this post Jonathan Taylor era? You have Garrett Groshek back as kind of the proven commodity, or what you have in Garrett Groshek. I think in a perfect world, he would assume that same role of, a guy that, can play third down for you as a blocker, as a receiver. He can even do a little bit of wildcat for you. But, that would depend on someone like Nakia Watson stepping up. You have other guys in the pipeline too. Julius Davis, who redshirted this past year. Isaac Garendo, who you saw a little bit towards the end of last year on special teams. Jalen Berger, a highly rated guy from New Jersey who just arrived on campus this summer. So, there's some guys there, but they're just unproven guys. I think Watson has the kind of the green light to potentially take over the bulk of the carries, but it could very much be running back by committee early on. Again, it's tough to answer that question because, you haven't seen these guys in the spring. It was supposed to be Nakia Watson's big spring to kind of take the keys to the offense as that running back number one for Wisconsin, but we didn't see that. They weren't able to do that on the field for 15 practices. So that question's kind of lingered on from really to January now till August.
Absolutely, John. Really appreciate the time. I got just one more for you, and it's something that you retweeted this morning from Loyal Crawford. He had the letter from Paul Chryst come in. Did you see Paul Chryst's handwriting?
I did. I actually was trying to figure out what he wrote there.
Right.
It took me a couple tries. Not that it adds any less value, but I think Paul Chryst is sending those out to, probably all 15 guys who are committed to Wisconsin's 2021 recruiting class. Paul Chryst is a busy guy. I think he kind of scribbled something.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just his handwriting isn't the best to begin with. But yeah, it took me a couple tries to figure out what he was trying to communicate.
If I'm Loyal, I'm feeling awkward because I can barely read what the hell he's trying to say. So, whatever. I just had to get your thoughts on that handwriting because seriously, I think I could do better with my left hand. That's something. Well, John, really appreciate the time, my friend. We'll do it again. You stay safe and hopefully fingers crossed for football in the fall.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today.
John McNamara from Badgers Blitz on the Rivals and Yahoo Sports Network. My chair is being squeaky. Do you hear that, producer Kyle? Give me a head nod. Did you hear my chair there? It was very loud. Okay, thank you. Interesting. Okay. John, great stuff from John. Wow, really enjoyed that conversation with him. Dude is intelligent. Really, really informed. And he mentioned, which I thought was an interesting note, the communication, he said, hasn't been great between the University of Wisconsin and the media. They haven't heard from Paul Chryst in several months. So that was interesting stuff. That was an interesting little tidbit that I pulled from that. Would love to get your feedback on that conversation. Facebook chat wide open, Twitter chat wide open, phone lines wide open, 877-878-7683. Anything you want to bring up. We've got baseball. We've got all sorts of stuff. Let's talk about the Twitter poll today, though, because it's been a weird day, and I totally forgot to bring that up at the beginning of the show. So today's Twitter poll, which you can find at Cream City Central on the Twitter, is the following. Do you think the Brewers will make the playoffs? Your options are yes, no, and the playoffs won't happen due to COVID, of course. Playoffs won't happen is trailing with 19% of the vote. 26% say yes, and the rest say no, which is a hefty majority that the Brewers will not make the playoffs. So if you haven't voted, go do that at Cream City Central on Twitter. We will talk more about that in the 2 o'clock hour. We moved up, didn't we? I forgot about that. Still trying to get used to this time change, man. It's too early for me almost here on a Thursday. Phone lines open, 877-878-7683. We'll talk Bucks basketball next. This is the Alex Strouf Show.
I'm going to read you a quote from one of Giannis's teammates, and then, using your wealth of superstar NBA experience, you are going to read between the lines and tell us if we can actually learn anything from what this teammate has said. So first up, This is from Pat Connaughton on March 31st, so just a few weeks ago. He says, obviously the city of Milwaukee, the team, everyone wants Giannis to be here forever. But Giannis has put himself in a position to provide for his family from growing up with nothing in Greece. I don't think you can fault Giannis for whatever decision he ends up making, that he believes is the best decision for him, his family, the people who are closest to him.
Yo, Pat's a smart dude. Pat's trying to get on teams with Giannis in the future, wherever Giannis is. Pat is not trying to ruffle feathers. Pat is giving a massage right there. That's my gut.
And can you blame him?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, he's a 6'5" white dude who relies on his athleticism. Yeah, I mean, how much of a career does he have left?
There's a ceiling. There's a ceiling. Yeah, man. Of course.
All right, Pat's playing the long game. Small Ball, Milwaukee Bucks Micro Podcast, presented by Cream City Central. Download wherever you get your podcasts.
We welcome you back into the Alex Strouf Show. As the Bucks are back in action here today, folks, they will take on the Miami Heat in less than an hour and a half. So good news. Producer Kyle, please jump on the screen for me if you don't
I'm
mind.
afraid to come on.
No, it's okay. So we know on Tuesday, obviously, you were not happy with Coach Budenholzer.
No.
You were not happy with the strategy of not playing the starters in the second half, essentially. So I do have good news. This is the following from Eric Nem of The Athletic.
I'm sorry.
Bucks are going with their normal starter.
Can you repeat his last name again?
I said Nem. Is it name?
Yeah, it's name. Come
Okay,
on.
well, I haven't talked to him before. I haven't talked to him yet. I would love to get him on the show.
It's in his bio, but I mean, whatever.
Is it? Okay, well, I'm not on his bio. I'm on his tweets. The Bucks are going with their normal starting lineup today. So Bledsoe, Matthews, Middleton, Giannis, and your boy Brooke. And second half of that, another tweet was added. I'm not sure if you saw this.
I did not see this.
Budenholzer adds that everyone other than Bledsoe will see their normal minutes, rotations, or at least something close to it.
Coach Bud, thank you.
You will be seeing Giannis in the second half. You will be seeing Middleton in the second half. You will be seeing Brooke all game. Pat Connaughton, no minutes restriction was mentioned for him.
Now, is there a minutes restriction for DJ Wilson and Sterling Brown because they need to have minutes restrictions down to 0? Unless
you hate those guys.
I don't hate them. I can't hate anybody. But
well, that's fair.
They're not good basketball players.
Yeah, they're not great. 9-point favorites, the Bucks today. As you mentioned,
they were 19 against Brooklyn. So
yeah, 18 and a half, I believe, is actually what it was. But yes, very close.
Doesn't feel any better.
So as mentioned, the normal starting five. This is the first time since March, since the shutdown, that these five will be on the court together. Obviously, because
so 200 points are guaranteed to be scored by the Bucks today. Is what you're saying?
So we mentioned on Tuesday that 73 points were put up in the first half by the Nets to only put up 46 in the second. I think Giannis and company might put up 73 points in both halves.
I like it.
I'm thinking 140 in regulation is not good.
Although the Heat, I'm a little concerned about the Heat. And this was actually when the schedule was, the 8-game seeding schedule was released. This was one of the losses I gave to the Bucks. I gave them a 5-3 record in the 8 games. And this was one of the losses I gave them because the Heat always have, they always play great defense against us. Granted, they are playing without Jimmy Butler today, but Eric Spoelstra is, we talk about Coach Bud and Billy Donovan and Nick Nurse being coaches of the year. Eric Spoelstra gets almost no love down in Miami. He's a fantastic coach, even going back to when he had the big three in the beginning of the decade, or beginning of last decade.
Yeah.
We are in 2020 now, which is a new decade.
We are, correct. Yeah, go on.
And, this Heat team scares me. I mean, if we got to play the Heat in the playoffs, it would be a 7-game series, I would think.
No, you're right. I mean, I've been on the record for how long? You can attest to this. I've been saying the Heat are the biggest threat to Milwaukee. Remember when he dug into the dictionary a couple of weeks ago? And said, what was it? Which team has the highest chance to diminish the Bucks?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember what you said, but you really dug in there.
It's our highlight video that we'll play at the top of the hour. So.
You really dug in. But the Heat was my choice, and it seems to be kind of a common trend. It's not that unpopular of a pick anymore. A lot of people are on this Heat bandwagon, and rightfully so. They're a good team. So we'll see. We will see what happens tonight. Your thoughts on a final score? Go ahead.
Bucks 105, Heat 98.
I like it.
Just because it's a high scoring game for an average. I mean, it's not even really a high scoring game in the NBA anymore. But both defenses are great. It's going to be a low scoring NBA game, which in 2020 would be, that. But in past years it'd be like 80s and 70s. I don't think it's going to be that low.
You know what the final score is going to be, Kyle?
What is the final score going to be?
129 to 116.
That's too high.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Look at the games in the bubble. People are scoring buckets in the bubble, dude. It's true. Not too high.
I don't know why you had to put it as a banner, but
I don't know. I did that on accident, truthfully, but it worked out. I kind of liked it. I thought that was a great look. I think it's gonna be low scoring.
They don't have Jimmy Butler, which is going to be
I'd
huge.
be interested to see what teams are averaging in the bubble, because I do feel like, Sacramento and New Orleans just went to halftime 77-70. So,
let's take a look at the
very high.
Let's take a look at the last games for the Heat so far in the bubble. Let's see here. All right, so last game they beat the Celtics on Tuesday, 112-106, which okay. They lost to the Raptors on Monday, 107-103, which is around that area I was thinking. And their first game against the Nuggets was 125-105. So I'm sticking with my what did I say, 105-98.
See, I feel like that's too low for the Bucks too. They've put up 116 the last two games, and they put up, I think, more than that the game before.
They scored 116 the last two games, and then they scored.
What'd they beat Boston with?
A lot of points.
A lot of points, yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the points are pouring in the bubble. I don't think this is like this crazy, unreal thought. I want to get to two more headlines from the NBA quick, Kyle. First off, one you know about. Second one you won't, but we'll get there. Kevin Durant was asked his finals pick on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't like doing this but I'll do it anyway. I've got Clippers and Bucks. Clippers win. So he's picking the Clippers over the Bucks in the finals. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but Kevin Durant currently signed to the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets currently in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Why didn't he pick his own team?
First of all, I don't think he cares about the Nets this season, to be honest with you. Second of all, who in their right mind besides Nets fans would pick the Nets to win the NBA Finals?
No, that's fair, but they're paying him so much money, Kyle.
He's not even in the bubble. He's not even there.
I know, but can you imagine cashing like $100 million checks? Maybe not that much, but $1 million checks from a company, and then going out and saying, "Yeah, they're not the best company there is, even though they're paying me."
That's kind of like somebody talking bad about the company they work for. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
But you're also not being paid millions and millions of dollars by a company you're talking bad about. I promise you that.
He's not necessarily talking bad.
Have you ever met a millionaire
about them?
that's complained about their money or their company? Because I don't think I have.
I don't know. He's not necessarily talking bad about them. He's just like,
he has no faith in them.
Does he really think the Nets are going to make the NBA?
But don't you think his
even the
teammates
second round of the playoffs?
Don't you think his teammates deserve a little bit of an ego boost? Kevin Durant, the second best player in the world, says we're going to do it without him. Yeah, that's our teammate. He supports us.
You mean to think that Timothé Lualu-Cabarrot needs any help from Kevin Durant? I mean, they're doing off against the Bucks.
You're right.
He doesn't need any help.
Correct. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Maybe not.
But going back to his actual pick, the Bucks and Clippers, that's a good pick. I still think it's going to be Bucks Lakers.
Yep.
And I would agree that it's going to be the Lakers and Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. I don't see any other option unless Houston makes a late run, or the Nuggets maybe, but I don't see anybody else. I have the Lakers in the finals solely because of LeBron, who I know is struggling right now, but LeBron's taking guys like Zydrunas Ilgauskas to the freaking NBA Finals. He can take his team he has now. His team he has now in LA was better than the team that he won with the 3-1, comeback 3-1.
Oh yeah. That's true. I agree with that.
So his teams that he had, the team he has now is better than any team he had in Cleveland, the 4 years he was in Cleveland, that he went to the finals with against the Warriors. So
we'll see.
I think it's still going to be Bucks Lakers, and I have Bucks.
You're all in on the Lakers.
I have Bucks coming out on top because the Bucks Bucks top 8 is way better than the Lakers top 8.
That's absolutely correct. But the thing is, I don't know if I'm sold on the Lakers, and that's a topic we could go on forever about. Yeah. But we'll see. I'm just really excited for playoff basketball because that is always
the games have been fantastic so far. There haven't been that many blowouts.
No, not that many at all. The other thing I want to get to before we get to the top of the hour here, Kyle, is I'm confused by the underground wine club, if you will, that's going on in the bubble. Have you noticed that every NBA player drinks wine?
No.
Or owns a wine label?
No. So does Giannis own a wine label?
No, Giannis doesn't. The Bucks aren't really a part of this. But CJ McCollum, obviously LeBron, we know he loves his sheesh. Who else? JJ Redick. He brought a ton of wine. And I was listening to CJ McCollum. I don't remember what it was. He has a podcast, I think, right? Yes, it might have been that. And he mentioned, he had wine shipped in. And I don't know how this became such a big thing in the NBA that everybody just loves. Well, it's very strange to me. Like, dudes generally drink beer. I mean, it's just true, right? Dudes generally drink beer. But now that they make an S-load of money, why is it red wine? Why I don't get it. It just confusing me.
It's high
class. Is it the flash that they make millions of dollars and they can go buy a $700 bottle of wine? Or I don't get it.
That's my guess.
Because I don't think wine. I'm not much of a wine guy myself. I like white wine, not a red wine guy.
I've never had wine, so I don't really have much of an opinion on this other than.
Have you ever been to
wine.
Church?
Well, yeah, but I don't go to a church that offers wine.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Grape juice is the way to go.
Okay, I like grape juice as well. But anyway, I just don't understand how there's this underground. So, we were talking about how NBA players are going to be sneaking chicks in.
And ordering McDonald's.
And ordering McDonald's, right? They were going to use these underground tunnels to have Uber Eats slide through, or the Tinder date they got slide through. But now we're using it to get wine delivered. It's unbelievable to me. Stephen Ripp says it's classy. It's harder to have too much unless you're trying, easier to pace yourself. So obviously they don't want to get loaded the day before a game. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I mean, it is a high class leisure drink.
But isn't beer similar?
I wouldn't consider drinking a Miller Lite.
If you have too much, you need to drink like 6 beers at least to get a buzz. At least maybe that's just me.
Amari Stoudemire takes red wine back.
Bill DeCastro, how you doing, Phil?
All right.
Thanks for stopping by.
I feel like that's not accurate.
Is that true?
But I don't know. I like it though.
That would be even. This would be deeper cut than I thought it was if Amari Stoudemire's out there dipping his body in red wine.
I don't think about that.
There's a visual for you. Anyway, I just don't understand. We know LeBron has loved wine. We've known this for years. But I don't understand where everybody is getting involved in wine all of a sudden. Like CJ McCollum legitimately opened a wine label. Like he has his own label now.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you have
24.
When you have millions of dollars, you can do whatever you want.
But what is he's not 24. He's got to be what, like 26? What does a 26-year-old know about wine? Because I can tell you, I don't know anything about wine.
Well, but you're not 26, so you have a little.
I've got 5 years to figure it out. That's right.
And I've got 6, so I mean, maybe by 26,
we got plenty of time. We'll be okay.
Phil DeCastro just messaged me here. And he said it's true. Google it. So I will after the show. I'm
gonna do it right now before we go to break. I want an answer now.
I believe if you want, you can share your screen to show.
I'm not gonna do that. Okay, oh no, he does that. He's not kidding. He's not kidding at all. Oh wow, what a video! Somebody interviewed him in a wine bath. This is unbelievable, Phil.
Wow,
this is unbelievable.
He really does. Is
Amari Stoudemire takes red wine bath to recover on his off day from USA Today. That's unreal.
Does it really help with your body?
I don't know what to say here.
Here we go. I'll read a little snippet from this article here. His 40-minute baths, a mixture of red wine and water, are a quote rejuvenation, allowing him to create more circulation in his red blood cells.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Yeah, great for his skin too, says Steven.
Wow. Okay, this is silky smooth, says Steven. That's just strange. All right. We are nearing the top of the hour. We've got Olivia Rainier coming up next hour, and we've got some headlines to run through shortly. This is the Alex Strouf Show presented by Cream City Central. Don't you dare go anywhere.
And we finally have baseball back.
Baseball's back.
It's back, and I would like to say better than ever, but that's to be determined.
Well, who knows? Maybe this might be fun. This will be a fun season. I have no doubt about that. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I'm just excited for, just that Rob Manfred finally came to his senses and gave us a season.
Yeah, gave the people something they want. Did something right.
So the details came out. It's going to be a 60-game season, which I honestly think benefits the Brewers. What is it? 10 games against each division opponent. I'm assuming 5 home, 5 away. And then the remaining games are going to be against, for the Brewers at least, it'll be against the AL Central opponents.
Yeah, and I believe it'll be 4 per team, because then that'll equal the remaining 20.
Yeah, so honestly, do you agree with me that the Brewers benefit from a shorter season?
It's interesting that you say that because one of the first things when I started to think about a shorter season was how the Brewers are going to be able to use their pitching staff. And I'm really intrigued on what Craig Counsell is going to come up with every day for how he's going to utilize this staff. I'm just really excited about kind of the strategy that we can play into that. Also, the DH. That's huge. That extends a lot of people's careers, especially in the NL. So a lot of good things could really come out of this for sure.
Bernie's Bums, the official Brewers podcast of CreamCityCentral.com. Download wherever you get your podcasts today. Oh yeah, I'll fire it up on a Tuesday. Feeling good on a Thursday. I would have looked like a prick if I backed out after that. Travis Diener from downtown. It's 3:25 p.m. and the dude's drinking. I wish I was with him. But the NBA bubble is just reminiscent to me of a college frat house. As the brand new men's basketball coach at UW Green Bay, Mr. Will Ryan, joins me. And now a right-handed pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. It is Mr. J.P. Fireeisen joining us on the Alex Strouf Show. Kyle really digging into the dictionary here today.
The magic of Brooke Lopez playing at Disney with the magic of Mickey Mouse on his side. Brooke Lopez is your Finals MVP.
You can't make this stuff up.
It's the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
You know, that really hurt my heart when I heard me introduce J.P. Fireeisen as he was optioned today.
Now you're taking away some of my content for later in the show. But
I apologize. I didn't mean to do that.
Don't you look at the notes before we start?
Not often, no, to be completely honest with you.
Anyways.
No, I don't plan well.
Yeah, I've noticed.
As you've learned, I kind of just shoot from the hip most of the time.
Usually it works out.
It works out decently, but if I actually tried, I think we would have a lot better content. But that's beside the point.
I would say we have pretty good content.
We could out loud think about this because the two people watching us don't give a shit. I mean, come on now. What do you got?
2 p.m. headlines today.
Oh, okay.
Woohoo! All right. Starting off on I don't know, this is kind of a cool idea.
Okay.
Maryland head coach Michael Locksley formed group for minority football coaches. Let me bring up my own notes here. I didn't memorize my notes. So this group is seeking to identify and groom coaches of color for future employment and promotion. And the reason why this is an issue to begin with is that can you name or can you count how many head coaches of color there are in the NFL right now, Alex, off the top of your head?
In the NFL. Let's think about this. Mike Tomlin obviously is one. Yep. Anthony Lynn would be 2. This is pathetic.
There's 3. The third one is the third one is Ron Rivera. So
okay,
yeah,
that's it, huh?
Yeah, so there's 3 head coaches of color in the NFL right now, 13 in Division 1, Division 1A, which is the FBS.
Yeah.
So there is more in college, but that's a result of having 130 teams in college Division 1,
correct,
single A compared to 32 in the NFL. So this is obviously an issue where there's a lack of minority representation, even among assistant coaches as well. So this group is looking to, put a spotlight on. I'm sorry, Brian Flores is another one too. So there's actually 4. So the article that I read is wrong. So I'll blame the article that I read. So there's 4. I'm sorry, there's 4.
Who's the 4th?
Brian Flores out of my end.
Oh yes, correct.
My bad. There's 4. So this is a little bit of an issue, obviously, and even the lack of representation amongst assistant coaches. And this board of directors of this group includes some huge names and in football. Ozzie Newsome, Nick Saban, Mike Tomlin, and Doug Williams, just to name a few.
Nice.
So some very high, powerful. Hopefully this causes change, especially in NCAA college football. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
And,
good stuff. That's good news. I enjoy that.
That's good news. And I know the NFL has a new plan too. I know that a couple months back, the Packers hired Ruvel Martin to be like a minority coach. So I know the NFL has plans too. It's not just the NCAA, but the NFL has some stuff too. So, and NBA 2K21 releases current gen gameplay, and I have the full trailer available for us to watch.
Oh boy, let's party.
Sure.
Here's Lillard. Lillard surveying the D. For the win.
I roll out with no cash on me, calm now with no on me. Stay away from these ashy youths where they come around and get ash on me. That's 5,000 capacity, 5,000 capacity. Then spread that over the UK and then add it up and get back to me. I'm not bad for me, madman, they go mad for me. Who the f*** when they gassed you up like you're good enough to be clashing me? Oh, please stop harassing me, charge me up and put gas in me. Them little fish wanna try ting. Oh man, the audacity, I got blood in my inbox telling me eyes. Living on the edge to the end of our lives. Wolf in the sheepskin telling me lies. Sometimes I love so ahead of my time. Mainstream boys starts letting off live. We can never ever level in price. Take that fee and then treble it twice.
What the hell is
harassing me? Charge me up and put gas in me. Them little fish wanna try ting. Oh man, the audacity. Oh man, the audacity. Oh man, the audacity. Oh, it's a catastrophe. I changed the game drastically.
I want to point out as we near the end of this trailer here, there is very little representation from the best team in the NBA in that trailer.
Yes, there is. There's very little Bucks in there. Yeah.
The reason why I brought this up, because one, I'm always excited for a new sports video game, but I didn't notice much difference in this game compared to if I had someone mention this out on or point this out on Twitter, that the only difference they saw was the shot meter at the beginning of and that was it. So
you're paying $60 for a shot meter, dude.
Yeah, you're paying $60.
And rosters.
Yeah. And granted, this is the current gen trailer, not the next gen trailer, which we did show later or earlier in the summer.
Oh yeah, with the sweat.
With Zion sweating.
Yeah,
so
with the sweat. Yeah.
Maybe they're just kind of what they did with last gen with Xbox 360 and PS3 and just give up on the current gen and just move on to the next gen.
Yeah.
So, but we do get $60 gets you a shot meter and updated rosters. So.
Fair enough. So I have a couple thoughts about that trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
First off,
I know what you're gonna say, but go on.
First off, the music sucked.
Yeah, British rap is not.
Is that what that was? That was a British accent.
Yeah.
Can you play it just briefly? Can you just play like a little bit?
I don't want to.
Okay, then.
Here's Lillard. Lillard surveying the D.
So, like, as we're in this, my initial thought when this played was when I saw Damian Lillard and the time running down, we were going to see Paul George get shot over.
Well, it was against the Spurs, so.
I know. I didn't see the Spurs right away. But that was my initial thought. And then
I roll out with no cash on
and
me.
Then this
calm
came.
now with no on me. Stay away from these ashy youths where they come around and get ash on me. That's 5,000 capacity.
5,000 capacity.
I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Me neither, man. What the hell's going on out
this
there?
whole year is just,
it's just a weird song choice. I gotta say, man.
I mean, you could have went something easy with J. Cole, Kanye, something everybody knows. I don't know who that guy is. I mean, the beat was good.
The beat was slightly entertaining. I'd agree.
And actually, funny I bring up J. Cole, and I don't have a headline for this. Did you hear that? Did you hear that J. Cole is getting a tryout from the Pistons?
Yeah, because I saw that he mentioned earlier this week that he wanted a tryout, and the Pistons are going to give him one. If they sign him, it'll be Tebow-esque, right? It'll just be a publicity stunt. I
mean, if the Bucks want some publicity,
they don't need it.
My phone line is always open. My phone number. I mean, I'm not going to put my phone number on the air. But, send me a DM, Bucks.
So you want to get a tryout now?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I feel like put me, Brooke Lopez, and Robin Lopez on the same lineup, and we're nailing threes left and right.
You can shoot threes. I don't believe
Absolutely
you.
not. But
yeah.
Robin and Brooke could shoot threes for me and just make me look good.
So,
but we have Brooke Lopez as the smoking.
What the hell are you talking? I thought we were talking about J. Cole.
We were, and then I got sidetracked because I want to be on the Bucks.
Good luck with that, Kyle. I will happily vouch for you wherever you want to go.
Thank you.
So J. Cole is getting a tryout with the Pistons.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's from where? He's from North Carolina. So the Hornets didn't give him one. So he's going to Detroit. Does he have a legitimate chance to make that roster? What do you think? I say no.
Well, here's my question though: is he getting a tryout? Well, never mind. They're not even in the bubble anyway, so forget it.
Correct.
But I don't know. I don't know. I've seen videos of J. Cole playing basketball.
He's a baller, dude.
He's
pretty
good.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they give him like a G League contract.
So you're telling me that you think Detroit will be the team to pull the Tebow of the NBA? Sure. This is equivalent to the Mets signing Tim Tebow. What the Pistons will do with J. Cole. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Desperation, man.
I mean,
the Mets are a dumpster
Pistons.
fire, so they go sign a man of Jesus, Tim Tebow. Now,
I feel
Detroit's
bad.
a dumpster fire, so they sign a rapper. Great. Love publicity stunts. They're great.
Hey, I mean, we're talking about it, so it's working.
Well, absolutely, I'll talk about it. I just think that's all it is. He'll never see quality minutes if they sign him.
You don't know that. What if
I do know that? You think J. Cole's going to pop in at 35 years old to become the starting point guard? I don't know how old he is. I'd have to look that up.
Sure.
Do you think he's just going to become the starting point guard of the Pistons?
Why not? Who else do they got at point guard? There's any Pistons fans in the chat? I don't know. I know they got Tony Snell.
They do have Tony Snell.
Tony Snell is a legend.
I feel like their point guard's good. Yeah, Derrick Rose is their point guard.
Nah.
And they have Blake Griffin as well. But like their shooting guards are Langston Galloway and Jordan McRae. In a name,
well, they could put Derrick Rose at shooting guard and throw J. Cole at point guard.
I think you would throw J. Cole at shooting guard, right?
How tall? Easy for me to say. How tall is J. Cole? That's my question.
Let's look, man. I've been using Google today.
He's 6'2".
He's only 6'2".
I mean, you could put him at shooting guard, I guess.
Let's find this out. He is 35. That was a great guess. So yeah, 35. He's not going to make the roster. There's
Derrick
no way.
Rose is 6. Derrick Rose. Oh, hold on here. Okay, yeah, Derrick Rose is also 6'2". So you could really interchange the two at point guard, shooting guard.
Okay, great.
I like it. J. Cole, put him on shooting guard. Come on. Pistons,
or he could be their backup.
No, he's got to be a starter.
Okay.
If you're gonna try to be in the NBA, you're shooting for starter, all-star.
Of course, but he's 35. Like
LeBron is 38.
LeBron is 38. It's true.
I also just compared J. Cole to LeBron.
Yes, you did.
Oh man, what a day! Yeah.
All right.
Those are what I got for headlines. So
okay.
I'll let you take over, so people don't gotta listen to me anymore.
Oh, okay. See ya. I guess it's just me now. Hey everyone, I'm Alex. So look, let's dive into some Packer stuff. As Olivia Rainier is going to join me to chat about all things sports here in about 15 minutes from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. But the Packers' first practice was announced this morning by Coach Matt LaFleur that their first practice would take place on August 15th, which is next Saturday. And their first game right now slated for September 13th. So that is less than a month to go from point A, ground zero, starting from nowhere, to, okay, rev it up now. We're playing a real game that counts. Remember, no preseason this year. So, interesting predicament for all NFL teams. And we heard from Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday, who said, yeah, you really got to rev it up. I mean, it's a lot different this year. You really got to rev it up. And, whoever does that the best is going to be the most successful team. That's what Rodgers had to say on Tuesday. And he's absolutely right? You look at the predicament in front of Green Bay and obviously the other 31 teams, but we'll talk Green Bay. No preseason, no live action. Obviously, you're going to have to do some hits in practice and whatnot, but you're going to be sluggish and the chemistry is going to be low come week one. I'm not saying it's just going to be an absolute nightmare or a slop fest by any means, but it's going to be tough to watch. I think so from the get-go, right? No fans. You hadn't played a preseason game. And Aaron Rodgers typically doesn't play preseason, right? He didn't play in preseason last season. However, he also got 2 months of training camp to lead up to that. So the first practice is not until next Saturday for Green Bay, as currently all their days are filled of is workouts, meetings, and coronavirus tests. So we'll see, man. It's a lot different than past years, obviously, but it really is. I mean, you're really shooting from the hip here is the NFL. I mean, they're just shooting from the hip, trying to figure out what exactly is their next move. When are they going to make an announcement on fans? When are they going to make an announcement on tickets? When are they going to make an announcement on TV deals and the plan moving forward? The season's supposed to start in like a month, and we have nothing from the NFL. So it's starting to look a lot like Raj is going to be just like his buddy Robbie. It really is starting to feel that way, that Roger Goodell is going to mess this up so bad, he makes Rob Manfred look like he's normal, when in all reality, Rob Manfred is nothing near normal. But Roger Goodell has given us little to no direction. I mean, it was good when they had all 32 teams file their coronavirus methods and precautions and everything they were doing, and they all had to go in for individual review, which they all, of course, passed. But that was really the first sign of anything from Raj. And now we have practice starting on August 15th, with the season slated to start on September 11th, September 13th? September 10th is the first game. Chiefs and Texans on September 10th. So less than a month. It's just, I don't think the beginning of the season is going to look normal. I don't think you're going to have a lot of random people make rosters. You're not going to have undrafted guys like you do in past years. Maybe one or two still, but it's not going to be 4, 5, or 6 or guys' names that you know, because you're not going to see anything from them if there's no preseason. And I'm fine with that. I've always vouched for no preseason, or lesser preseason at least. So I'm cool with no preseason, but it's just going to be interesting to see the transition period from last year to this year, right? The transition period from off-season to regular season has never been done. So we need to see how smooth anybody can make it. I mean, every team has to be up for the challenge, especially teams that are powerhouses like Kansas City and Green Bay and other teams in that realm. But it's going to be very weird to see how these teams ramp up, what the chemistry looks like, and what this does to fringe players, right? Guys that are on the edge, as we just brought up. What happens to them? Undrafted free agents aren't going to make rosters. I mean, look at it. Look at it the way I look at it, right? We see normal development. We watch it happen. Of course, the coaches and the front office see these guys in practice, sure. But if you're working just your behind off, that's great. Thumbs up. But is that enough? Unless you go out in a real live action and make a play, like guys have been doing for years. So that's the one negative of no preseason, or one of the many this year, because there was no time to really prepare for the regular season. Less than a month from opening training camp to game. It's like we're in high school again. I mean, this is the National Football League. These guys should be at the highest of levels when they are getting ready to go play football. And they're not going to be. I mean, they'll be in football shape by all means. It's just going to be wacky. It's going to be wacky. It's going to be a lot different than it's been in the past. And we already knew that part. But regardless, it is going to be tough to watch nonetheless. It's something we've talked quite a bit about, is the Packers will keep 3 quarterbacks, at least we think. I think, I mean, it makes sense to me, right? Jordan Love was drafted this year, and obviously Tim Boyle has been on the roster. It'd be stupid not to keep 3 quarterbacks, whether it be COVID, whether it be injuries, because Tim Boyle, to me, is still the second-string quarterback. That didn't change when Jordan Love was drafted 26th overall. Tim Boyle is still the backup until I'm proven otherwise. Love has to learn the system. Love has to understand the differences between the college at a mid-major to a professional football league in a small market. It's going to be very interesting to see how that transition works for him in Jordan Love. But I don't think he's the backup quarterback right now. I don't think he has been. I think Tim Boyle still holds that spot. Right? Tim Boyle still holds the backup quarterback spot for Green Bay. I think that's right. It's not crazy to bring that up. It's not crazy to say that. So yeah, they'll probably keep 3 quarterbacks after only keeping 2 in 2019. But that's not a bad move, right? We mentioned COVID. We mentioned Rodgers' injury past. We mentioned that Jordan Love has a system to learn. He has to make that transition from college to professional quarterback. 3 quarterbacks is not a bad thing for Green Bay. Do not get frustrated with 3 quarterbacks staying on the Packers roster. It's okay. It's not that we're burying Jordan Love. It's not that the front office is saying, hey, he's not ready to be a backup yet. That's not what it is. It's Tim Boyle's there. He's established in the system. It makes more sense from a team standpoint. It just really does. Really does. But Green Bay overall, I'm interested to get your thoughts. Phone line's still open, 877-878-7683. I want to get your thoughts on training camp. What do you think this long, weird offseason will look like as football returns to the field? What will it look like when the green and gold are back on an empty Lambeau Field? Likely empty Lambeau Field, I should say, because that's not official yet. I'm nervous. I'll admit that. I don't know how long the season can last, sustain everything that's going on. I don't know how long it will happen. But nonetheless, exciting that we're getting football back. But as we talked to John McNamara last hour about college football, Division I football, it was something. Let's go to the Twitter poll. Do you think the Brewers will make the playoffs this season? Up to 72 votes with 18 minutes left, and it is far and away a no. 55.6% of the vote for no. 27% say yes, and the rest say that they will not. The playoffs won't happen. Is your third option on that poll for COVID reasoning, right? So we will see. Producer Kyle sitting patiently. We might as well ring him up unexpected. What's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm feeling good, just like I was 23 minutes ago when you asked me the last time. So
I'm going to ask you every 23 minutes. Jordan here.
All right. I voted that I think the playoffs are going to get canceled.
I did as well.
Yeah. I want to bring up, because obviously Noah is running away with 56%. I don't know if people realize this or not, but the Brewers sit at second place in the NL Central as we speak right now. So with the new playoff format, with 8 teams getting in, the first and second place teams from each division are guaranteed to get in.
Right.
So as we're sitting right now, the Brewers they're guaranteed to get in with a second place spot.
Right. That's the new fun part of this year, right?
Yeah. And that's why I'm so high on them making the playoffs. I think it's going to be a great possibility, especially if they play 500 baseball, which I know they're 4-5 right now. But if they play 500 baseball, they're going to make the playoffs.
They'll be alive. Yeah, they'll be alive. You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
It doesn't help that St. Louis season has been derailed. I mean, they're 2-3. They've only played 5 games. Pittsburgh's horrible. They're 2-10.
Cincinnati scares me though.
Cincinnati also scares
scary.
me.
They're a scary good ball club. They have great pitching. First and foremost, their bats are a little bit lagging behind, but
you know what's crazy is, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but Miami's 5-1, and obviously they haven't played in a while. I didn't realize how good their record
they have
was.
the best winning percentage in baseball right now.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's very true.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, who would have? And granted, the last 2 games they played were against the Orioles, who are arguably just as bad as the Marlins, even worse.
Well, the Cubs and the Twins, both 10-2. They've won 9 of their last 10. They've both been playing phenomenal. And if I'm not mistaken, they play now, don't they? Oh no,
yeah.
Minnesota's playing Pittsburgh right now. When do they play?
I believe it's this weekend.
Because I know that's coming up, and those are by far the 2 best teams in baseball record-wise, both 10-2, Minnesota and the Cubs.
They do not play this weekend. They don't play until shoot. They even play at all? That's the money question here. They don't play. They have a 2-game or 3-game set, September 18th, 19th, and 20th. So they are, I mean, a month and change away from even playing each other.
Right.
Which is a shame, because those are arguably, I mean, if you throw in the Dodgers, the 3 best teams in baseball right now. And if you want to throw in the Marlins for shits and giggles, throw in the Marlins.
Absolutely.
So.
All right. Well, how do you feel about a timeout?
I feel good. Let's do a timeout.
Let's do a timeout. This is the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central. We're going to break. We'll talk to Olivia Rainier on the other side. This is
yes, we will.
Let's do that. Okay. Goodbye. See ya.
All right. So I was going to talk about Giannis here for obvious reasons, but we're talking about 3-point shooting. So I'm gonna focus on George Hill, who before the end of the postponement of the season in March, George Hill was leading the league in 3-point shooting. However, the last 11 games of the regular season, he was actually shooting under 30%. He is 0 for these 3 scrimmages from 3-point line. So I'm a little concerned about if he can get his shooting touch back as the Bucks, go through these 8 seeding games, get ready for the playoffs. I know he was one that he has a ranch in Texas. He was quarantining there. He may not have been in the gym as much as some guys getting shots up. So maybe it's going to take him a while to get that shot back. If Brooks not hitting the threes, George Hill is going to have to step up and knock those down. If he's not doing that, I think it could spell some trouble for the Bucks.
Yeah, and George Hill's a pro. He's been around for a long time. I don't know much regarding his playoff experience. Maybe when he was with Indiana, they might have gone to the playoffs a few times, but he just strikes me as the kind of composed player who I would be shocked if he doesn't put it together, and at least he's probably not going to get back to that 50% that he was shooting, but I would be shocked if he doesn't revert to the mean in terms of his average 3-point shooting.
David Bakhtiari, should the Packers just pay the guy whatever they want or whatever he wants? Should they try to negotiate? Will he get a little bit of a hometown discount? How do you foresee that playing? Because this could go many ways with Bakhtiari.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the fact that he is a top, if not top 3 in the league. I really think that bringing David Bakhtiari back is a priority this offseason. We do some big names along with the Kenny Clark that we have to also make fit in that. The biggest worry that I have is if we sign him for a big amount of money, we won't be able to bring back people like Aaron Jones or Kevin King, which I don't think either one of them may come back. But I really do feel that bringing David Bakhtiari back should be a priority for any team. If you have a left tackle that good, it's going to be a priority. I personally just feel that bringing him back would not only elevate our line with the young people we brought in this draft, but it would also elevate that leadership in the room that we need. So it keeps it at a level we need it at.
Yeah, Bakhtiari is a solid leader on that offensive line. A guy who's protected Aaron Rodgers since 2014, I believe. No, 2012. I can't remember. But Bakhtiari has definitely acted as a professional when coming to talk about his contract. That was a short clip from the Lambeau Lead, Cream City Central's only Packers podcast. Make sure to check it out today.
And we welcome you back inside the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central. We will go right to the phone lines now, where a jack of all trades for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, as bright as they are, Miss Olivia Rainier joins me now. Olivia, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing exceptionally well on this. Is it Thursday?
I think it is Thursday. I think you're right. Exceptionally well is good to hear. But first off, obviously the last few months have been kind of all over the place for everybody. How are you? You good? Healthy and safe and all that good stuff?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I've been doing very well. Family is doing well. So truly, I have nothing to complain about.
That's
I'm
good.
very fortunate.
Good. I like your style. So let's dive into some Packers news, shall we? Let's start with the first practice next Saturday. First game, September 13th. Less than a month between those two dates, Olivia. This is going to be. We knew it was going to be a weird off season, but it's getting weirder and weirder every day, it seems.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. I think we probably don't even know. We definitely don't even know what's to come. It could only get weirder, in my assumption. But yeah, we're finally going to get to see these players out on the field starting on Saturday. Hopefully, we get to see them. Access is going to be somewhat restricted this training camp.
Right.
Who knows what it's going to look like exactly going into the regular season. However, we'll get some look at the players starting on Saturday, and then eventually the following week or so, we'll get to see what they're going to look like in pads. And that is when things are going to start to get really real at that point.
So, my follow-up to that, Olivia, is do you know what your access will look like in terms of accessibility? Will they let you be at practices? Will they do in-person press conferences versus the Zoom they've been doing a lot of, or are those still unanswered?
So they're partially answered, I think, is
Okay.
maybe the best answer I can give you. There's two tiers that media can be in, and the first tier is one of the tiers is 2M, and that is limited to 10 local media members. As far as I know, 2 representatives from our Packers News coverage, which is the joint coverage between the Green Bay Press Gazette and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, will have two passes, I suppose. 2 people will be able to access, and from my understanding, I am not one of those 2 people. It sounds like we might have another pass in the next group below that. The difference between the 2 groups is that the group above that is able to access the facility. We have an office in Lambeau, so 2 of our writers will be able to get inside of Lambeau and work out of that office. So we'll see. Honestly, I think there's still a lot of questions about, who's going to be able to get access. But at the end of the day, ultimately, most of the conversations are still going to happen over Zoom. Doesn't sound like there's going to be much in-person media access. So I'll still be able to do the bulk of my job remotely, regardless of whether or not I have in-person access to camp.
Very interesting. Thanks for catching me up on that. I was curious what that was going to look like. But speaking of those Zoom press conferences, Rick Wagner just got done speaking, a new Packer. What'd you take away from him?
He's definitely a soft-spoken guy. I think we haven't heard from him yet. It was the first time we got to hear from him, so it was nice to meet him virtually. It's always weird, these virtual introductions.
Yes, it
But
is.
that being said, yes, soft-spoken guy, definitely a contrast from someone like left tackle David Bakhtiari, who tends to be a little bit more loud and outgoing. But it was nice to be able to actually talk to him. I think we spent so much time this off season talking to other people about him, talking to General Manager Brian Gutekunst, head coach Matt LaFleur. When David Bakhtiari was available this week, we asked him about him. When Corey Linsley was available yesterday, we asked him about Rick Wagner as well. So it was nice to finally actually have a conversation with this person who supposedly has a shot at being the starting right tackle this year.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to mention that. Right, that starting job could potentially be his. Did he have any notable quotes or comments today regarding that position battle?
Nothing really. I think all of the answers across the board from everyone on the offensive line or involved in some capacity with the offensive line has been, everyone is open to compete for the position.
Right.
No one is committing to saying it's Rick Wagner's job. It sounds like Matt LaFleur is certainly open to putting whatever combination of 5 offensive linemen out there that are the best fit with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bummer that, they didn't have the time in person during OTAs to get together and start to work some of those kinks out, and coming into training camp, maybe having a better sense of what they wanted to do. They're just coming into training camp and they're getting out on the field at the same time. And it'll be a little bit different than it would have been in years past.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to see who ends up there.
Yeah, and chemistry was something I was talking about just before you joined us. It's got to be different. I mean, obviously it's going to be different. We knew this, but it's going to be really weird. Only a month of prep, no preseason, only the second year in a system, and for some guys like Rick Wagner, first year in a brand new system. It's just going to be weird once we get to week 1, right?
I think so. It's a shame because, I mean, it is what it is. The
Right.
NFL is doing as much as it can to continue to have a season in some capacity. We'll see how successful they are at doing that. But ultimately, it's a shame, mostly for the rookies and for the players that don't have as much experience or who aren't tenured on the team, and the team has seen them play for a long period of time. Specifically with the Packers,
Yeah.
It's just kind of a shame that rookie camp didn't happen. Players aren't going to get preseason reps because of the canceled preseason, and those things can make a difference, especially for undrafted free agents. I think that's where it's going to be the biggest bummer.
Right. Absolutely. One of my favorite questions has been, at least as of late, ever since Devin Funchess has opted out, this has been my favorite Packers question to ask, because it was a real debate before Funchess opted out. Now it's very interesting. What do you think happens to Jake Kummerow? Is he going to make the roster? Are they going to keep 6 receivers? How do you think that shakes out? I'd like to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. He didn't produce as much as I'm sure he would have wanted to last season. But that being said, I don't think anyone besides Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard in the Packers wide receiving core is a lock for the group this upcoming season. I think if whoever's able to make plays in camp and show that they're ready to go, they're up to speed, they want it, I think they're going to have a good shot at making the roster regardless. It is anyone's opportunity to be had at that position this upcoming season, and if he's able to show that to the staff, I think that he certainly has an opportunity, especially because Punch has opted out, and he's not the only one. I think Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Equinemius St. Brown, even a name that I'm kind of curious about and I've been kicking around, and Darius Shepard is someone who made the 53-man roster last season and ultimately was relegated down to the practice squad after early in the season. He possibly could have a shot too. I wouldn't count anybody out, and I don't think the Packers are either.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's that wide receiver room is really one to keep an eye on during this training camp. I wish it's one that everybody could go to like usual, but I'm done complaining. Quarterbacks, are they going to keep 3?
That's I think yes is my takeaway from what head coach Matt LaFleur had to say about it today. It just doesn't seem realistic to get rid of last year's backup in Tim Boyle when you're welcoming rookie quarterback Jordan Love to the Packers without having had rookie camp. He's not going to have any preseason reps, which I mean, a lot of Packers fans were looking forward to seeing him play in the preseason, and that's no longer going to be the reality. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense to let Tim Boyle go under these circumstances. Our columnist Tom Silverstein, going into the pandemic, thought that it would make more sense for the Packers to cut Boyle and just keep Love, show that they're committed to him being the backup, the next player, maybe the heir to Aaron Rodgers. That being said, the circumstances are now different. I don't think it makes sense to only keep 2. I would think they would need 3 at this point in time.
Now, I guess not that it's a huge deal, but let's say hypothetically Rodgers goes down, and fingers crossed that doesn't happen, knock on wood, all that good stuff. You think we see Love or Boyle this season? I mean, I guess it could vary when it happens, but to me, it seems like Boyle probably still the first choice as the backup quarterback, at least going into the season, right?
That would make sense too, just because even though Tim Boyle doesn't have a ton of in-game experience, he does have preseason experience, and he's been able to win that spot last season. He beat out Deshaun Kaiser for it even. He's shown that he's capable, and at the very least, Aaron Rodgers trusts him in just in keeping him around and keeping him on his toes. He's a big part of that quarterback's room, even when he isn't actually physically playing. I think it would be Boyle, but that being said, I could be proven totally wrong, and Jordan Love steps onto the field the first day of training camp and blows the socks off of everybody. So it's certainly still going to be a battle, but that is the battle for that backup position that's going to be most interesting to watch, is between Boyle and Love.
At Rainier Olivia on Twitter. Last one for you, Olivia. Really appreciate the time. What's one big thing you're looking at as training camp gets underway? I know it's such a vague question, but is there one big highlight that you're looking for as training camp gets underway next week?
I think it's always fun to find the one rookie or the one undrafted player that really stands out at training camp. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit more difficult now to identify who that is, simply because they've had to waive a lot of those undrafted players. Not as many of them are around. And again, I don't really entirely know if I'm going to be present at training camp. It's going to be hard for me to judge with my own eyeballs who is worthy of being that undrafted or lower draft pick, that player that stands out. So that would be typically what I'm looking forward to most about this training camp, and of course being all the fans out there too. It's a fun environment even for me. It's a special time. So it's sad. It's going to be different. But you just got to be appreciative of what we do have.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that attitude, Olivia. Again, really appreciate the time, and you stay safe and healthy, and we'll chat again soon. All right.
Anytime. Have a good one.
Yes, you too, Olivia. That's Olivia Rainier with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel and Packers news. Really good stuff from her. That's the first time her and I have crossed paths, and I really enjoyed that conversation with Olivia. A true professional, knows her stuff, man. She has done her research and answers some of those fun questions on there. Like the 3 quarterbacks and the running back room and what happens to Jake Kummerow. Some of my favorites, because we don't really know. So it's interesting to hear a different opinion on those every once in a while. And Olivia brought the straight heat. I enjoyed that a lot. So baseball talk before we let you go. The Brewers won a fun one last night, folks. I hope you stayed up for that. 1-0, your final score. At least they got the win, man. At least they got the freaking win. So they are still in Chicago tonight, looking to split the series, with the White Sox today. The pitching on the starting side, again, was great for the Brewers. Adrian Hauser was the starter. 7 innings pitched, no runs allowed, 5 strikeouts. He saw the White Sox in an exhibition game earlier this year, and he was asked how that helped him yesterday in Chicago. Here's what he had to say to reporters last night.
I think facing them in the exhibition game helped out a little bit. It helped with game planning, and we knew where my pitches worked best against them and where I could go if I needed to get an out or in a jam or something like that. And I think it really helped out tonight.
Adrian, you're pitching, separate from what's happening with an offense. But when, this team is scuffling to score at this time, does it mean something a little extra when you go out and pitch the way you did tonight?
Yeah, I'm just going out there trying to help out the guys. When I get off the field, I want to be in a position where the guys, they can win. And, right now we're kind of struggling on the offensive side, but I have no doubt that they're going to pick it up and, help us out. And, we just got to keep rolling. And I think, just going out there and competing for the guys every time.
So there's Adrian Hauser, the Brewers starter last night after his win, as mentioned. Great line for him. 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, and 5 Ks for Adrian Hauser last night in the 1-0 victory over the White Sox in Chicago. The Brewers looking to split this 4-game series, home and home, 2 games with Chicago. Chicago came to Milwaukee a couple days ago, won both in Milwaukee. Now Milwaukee looking to do the same in Chicago. 7:10 first pitch tonight between the White Sox and the Brewers. And, we've talked a lot about, the offense just hasn't been looking good for the Brewers. 2 runs 2 days ago, 1 run yesterday and a win. They've had some trouble getting it going. It's just how that goes. I mean, you look at the lineup for Milwaukee tonight. Ben Gamel leading off, 261. Keston Hiura hitting 235. Christian Yelich batting 0.88. Avi Garcia batting 250. Justin Giorgio, 167. Justin Smoke, 156. Narvaez, 118. The only guy hitting over 300 in this lineup is Orlando Arcia, as well as Mark Mathias. But Mark Mathias obviously hasn't seen a ton of action. Orlando Arcia has the best batting average on the Brewers. What are you doing with that? And I know I slaughtered the Jerko pronunciation. Thank you, Kyle. It was slaughtered indeed. I just don't know how to say it. Isn't it Giorgio? Why is there a Y in it? Come on here. Talk to me for a moment. It looks like Euro almost.
You said it, and I'm like, there's no way. Can you say it again how you just said it?
I said Giorgio.
It's Jerko. Jed Jerko.
Okay, sorry.
It's a silent Y.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't get it.
It's also a G though, so it'd be Gorko if it's silent.
So
Y.
yeah, it's a G, I guess a
Jed
GY. I guess the GY makes a J sound.
Yeah,
I guess
it's like Euro, right? Yorko.
It should be that. Yeah, I would guess, but it's
so I'm not doing.
That's what Brian. That's what
not...
Brian Anderson said last night. So I'm going off what Brian Anderson said.
I believe Brian Anderson. I'm just saying. I think Yorko is how it should be said. But anyway, Orlando Arcia is hitting 350.
He's the best. He's the best hitter on the Brewers roster right now.
What the hell's going on?
It's 2020.
Absolutely.
That's the only explanation I got.
The most 2020 thing ever is Orlando Arcia. Still no Ryan Braun. He still belongs to the DL. We had a couple moves. What's that?
It's the IL.
That's the IL. You're right.
I'm just correcting you all day. I'm sorry.
It's all right, man. Ryan Healy, who led off last night, and JP Fireeisen, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, both been optioned to Appleton as of this morning. The Healy one was surprising to me, not so much Fireeisen, but the Healy move was.
Well, they had to get down to 28 because now the rosters are now locked at 28 for the rest of the year. 29 if you're on a doubleheader. So they do still have, I believe they increased the roster because they can bring like 5 alternate taxi squad guys with them.
Yeah.
But they can't dress. But they can bring, in case there's a late scratch, they can throw them in. But yeah, I mean, to go from batting leadoff last night to not even being on the roster in a matter of 12 hours is a little.
Life comes at you quick.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's about the perfect example. So, White Sox Brewers. Almost said Cubs. White Sox Brewers tonight, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. But we're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to preview Bucks and Heat. Leads you right up to the first tip. This is the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central.
I'm going to read you a quote from one of Giannis's teammates, and then, using your wealth of superstar NBA experience, you are going to read between the lines and tell us if we can actually learn anything from what this teammate has said. So first up, this is from Pat Connaughton on March 31st, so just a few weeks ago. He says, obviously, the city of Milwaukee, the team, everyone wants Giannis to be here forever. But Giannis has put himself in a position to provide for his family from growing up with nothing in Greece. I don't think you can fault Giannis for whatever decision he ends up making, that he believes is the best decision for him, his family, the people who are closest to him.
Yo, Pat's a smart dude. Pat's trying to get on teams with Giannis in the future, wherever Giannis is. Pat is not trying to ruffle feathers. Pat is giving a massage right there. That's my gut.
And can you blame him?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, he's a 6'5" white dude who relies on his athleticism. Yeah, I mean, how much of a career does he have left?
There's a ceiling. There's a ceiling. Yeah, man. Of course.
All right, Pat's playing the long game. Small Ball, Milwaukee Bucks micro podcast, presented by Cream City Central. Download wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back on the Alex Strouf Show, presented by Cream City Central. That's producer Kyle. I'm Alex Strouf. And we've got basketball here coming up in about 10 minutes as the Milwaukee Bucks look to clinch the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Finally.
As they
They could have done it on Tuesday, but whatever.
As they take on the Miami Heat in the bubble in Orlando. The normal starters for Milwaukee. So that means Giannis, Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, Wesley Matthews, and Brook Lopez will be the
Finals
five.
MVP.
Will be the 5 to start for the Bucks. No Jimmy Butler today for the Heat, but they will still bring it, I bet, as they usually do, right? Bam Adebayo is a heavy favorite for most improved player of the year. Tyler Herro was in the conversation a while ago for Rookie of the Year, no longer in that conversation, of course, but a very solid rookie in Tyler Herro for Miami.
Wisconsin product, by the way.
Also a Wisconsin guy, yes. Yeah. So I'm sure it'll be a good game. I think it'll be close. It'll probably be high scoring, but it will be interesting. For what it's worth, the Bucks have lost 4 of their last 5, dating back to March 8th. So they need it here.
Yeah, I don't really – I saw that on Twitter, and I'm like, you can't do that. I mean, technically, yes, you're not wrong. The Bucks have lost the last 4 out of 5.
But technically no.
But there was a 4-month gap in between their last game to last week. Like, no. Come on. Be better. Do better.
So we predicted our finals. I forgot what I think I said 129 to 116.
Yes, and I said 105-98. So I think it's going to be a low. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I know that would go against the overall trend so far and what we've seen in Orlando, but the Bucks and Heat have very good defenses, 2 of the best in the NBA. And
absolutely.
when they get together, it's always low scoring. So, yeah.
Right. All right. Let's get to Thursday's edition of
Thursday Thoughts.
What did you say?
Oh, that too.
What did you say? What did you say? What did you say?
Today's What Did You Say is dedicated to Greg Popovich, the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. When talking about Nuggets center Nikola Jokic, he said, and I quote, he's a reincarnation of Larry Bird.
What did you say? What did you say? What did you say? What did you say?
He's a reincarnation of Larry Bird. The only thing they have in common is they are tall, white, and know how to pass the basketball pretty darn well. That's it. He's not a reincarnation of Larry Bird. He's solid, he's slim, he's quick, he's good at passing, but he's nowhere near Larry Bird. Greg Popovich, you're smarter than this, dude. You're smarter than this. This is pathetic.
You know what this segment sounds like, and I want to bring this up.
Yeah.
You sound exactly like Jim Rome right now.
Oh no.
Shout
out Rome.
What
was the quarter? Wasn't it a quarterback that punched him in the face once?
Yeah, we were just talking about this at work. We were just talking about this at work the other day.
Stan, what the hell was his name?
It was George Everett or something.
Jim Everett.
Jim Everett, but he kept calling him George Everett
or something. Yeah.
Steve, yeah. And he got choked out. He got choked out on live TV.
That was
My
phenomenal.
boss just showed me that at work like 3-4 days ago, and I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen."
Yeah, it's fantastic. One of the best all-time moments of.
Yeah.
That was before Rome is Burning, I think. I think he just had a TV show of some sort.
I think I saw it was the old ESPN2 like scratch logo.
Yeah.
So it had to be like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it's old. It's old.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like an all-time thing. But anyway, thanks, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you sounded like Rome a little bit there, so sorry. All right, moving on.
All right.
We got one last thing today. We got two more things actually. Are you ready for your Thursday thoughts?
I'm ready. Yeah, we already talked about it briefly, but it's just Paul Chris' handwriting is unbelievably bad. If you want to pop up that picture for me. I mean, it took me a while to you can get we, you can get R.
I think it says we are proud for you to be a Badger. I think that's what it says.
We are so excited for you to be a Badger.
Oh, that too, I guess, yeah. That would make more grammatical sense.
Yes. Yes, it would. But just horrible, man. And I know he's probably writing a couple of those at a time, so he's just flying through it. But holy smokes, is that bad? Look how bad that handwriting is. It
looks like a doctor's handwriting.
I was going to say, I'm confident a doctor could do better with their offhand. That is bad. That's all I got. That's my thought.
Well, here's my thought. And this is something that I saw, I don't know, a couple days ago, so it was a little old. Now, when I was younger in middle school and high school, I was into, football cards, and even when I was a younger kid too. But this showed up on my timeline Tuesday night, I think. Darren Rovell tweeted out that someone paid $65,000 for a Patrick Mahomes rookie autographed card.
$65,000?
$65,000 on eBay. Now, let me point this out. First of all, that patch you see there doesn't even spell out his last name, because the O there, the way the lettering works, that other letter to the left should come down straight to be the M in Mahomes. Clearly it doesn't. And what I found out is that these rookies, this was signed in 2017 during the Rookie Premier Showcase, and those jerseys they wear have rookie on the back and not their actual last names.
Oh.
So that brings down the value for me a little more. And also it's 8 out of 10, which, I mean, okay, there's only 10 of those around, but there's still 9 other ones around. I mean, are the other 9 getting $65,000 for this as well?
Are they graded that well? But still, that is a bananas amount of money, Kyle. That is a bananas amount of money.
I don't know of any card, unless it has his saliva on it or his blood.
His DNA just running through this football
or any other
card,
bodily fluid that might come from Patrick Mahomes. I'm not paying $65,000 for that piece of paper.
I sent you something as well.
I didn't get it up, but yes.
Who was it? Alan Lazar?
Alan Lazar. Somebody paid it's up for $6,500.
$5,500.
$5,500 on eBay.
Our good friend Andy Herman tweeted that out last night.
Thank you, Andy. Is there anybody out there who is actually? Oh, obviously someone bought the Mahomes card, but I get if it's a full jersey or a basketball or a baseball that has a lot of meaning, like a Barry Bonds home run or a bat or something, but it's a freaking 3x5 piece of paper with a tiny bit of jersey in it. That's not even a jersey that has his last name on it. It just says rookie.
Love it.
Let me pull it. And I mean, it's got a nice autograph.
Hey, man. Hey, I know how we can keep that picture up for me.
Okay.
I know how we can end this.
With the second pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Patrick Mahomes, the second.
Oh, yeah.
What could have been, huh? What could have been?
It could have been a Bears logo.
It could have been a Bears logo. A big thanks to Olivia Rainier. A big thanks to producer Kyle. A big thanks to John McNamara. A big thanks to you for watching. That's producer Kyle. I'm Alex Strouf. We'll see you Tuesday. We're out. Peace.